It's review time in the world of tanks with Dangerously Incompetent. This episode, the T-28, Soviet Tier 4 medium tank. This tank comes after the T-46, which is quite nice, off the medium line, and following it, you can get to the heavy tanks, the KV-1. So it's the T-26 is pretty awful, but T-46 is alright. So it's a fairly easy run to the T-28, and you've got a nice tank coming after it. First thing you notice when you look at this tank is it's big. It's not particularly wide, but it is tall and it is long, which gives you a massive side profile. If we compare it to the KV-1, you'll see it's longer and it's taller. That makes you quite a target. Let's hope the armour's up to it then. If we're that big a target, no, it's not. 30 on the front, 20 on the hull, sides, and there are weaker spots. 25 all round on the turret. It's not got much armour. It's one big weak spot really for Tier 4, other Tier 4 mediums and TDs, even lights. And then the 5s and 6s it also sees. They all go straight through it. Your armour isn't going to save you from very much at all. But what will save you from being shot up is your speed. 45 is pretty good, and it gets up to it quite happily on the flat. And the traverse speed of 40 on the tracks means it's very manoeuvrable. So it's fast and manoeuvrable, and that's what you need to stop yourself being hit and dying real quick. Crew-wise, it's got everyone with an extra radio operator, just to be a pain in the bum. When you first get this tank, I would heartily recommend you spend free XP to get this gun, which is its top tier gun. It's fairly expensive at 2,000 odd, and you have to get the previous gun, but you can mount it without upgrading your tracks, but more of that later. This gun, faster rate of fire, good penetration, not so much damage, but accuracy. That's what you really want this gun for. All the other guns are not very accurate. So you see its predecessor, 0.45. The top 76mm gun has less penetration, does more damage, but its dispersion of 0.51. How often you miss as often as you hit with that thing. With this 0.34 accuracy, you can snipe, and the penetration, you can snipe quite effectively. You can snapshot quite effectively. It makes you an effective killing machine. Get this gun. The other thing you'd want to buy with your free experience be the tracks to improve that traverse speed, help your manoeuvrability. After that, the engines. The engines improvements don't give you much more power. Only 50 more horsepower for the second one. The third one another 50 again. But that third one's costing 800. Not so bad. But that's the third thing you buy after the tracks and after the gun. So a quick run through its statistics. Hit points, they're alright. Nothing special. Engine power is pretty good. Gives you decent acceleration, gets you up to that top speed quite happily. Hull armour is bad. Traverse speed good, so manoeuvrability. I've gone over the gun. Depression on the gun, -6. Nothing special. You don't really want to be trying to fight over a crest with this thing. You'd much rather have someone else who's more qualified to do it fight over the crest, because with the -6 you got to really go almost all the way over, and your armor's so thin, the extra angling from tipping your tank back doesn't help enough. You want someone else to do the crest fighting and spot all the enemy while you remain out of sight. Once they spotted how many people are on the other side, if the odds look good, then you charge over and start causing mayhem. And once the enemy tanks start concentrating on you, your mate's doing the crest fighting, he pulls over and starts blamming away quite happily and doesn't have to move anymore because they're trying to get you while you rampage your way through them. View range is pretty standard, 340 with 100% crew and binocular telescope. You can get to the maximum spotting range, so that means you've always got something to do when you're bottom tier against those tier 6 tanks that could, some of them can one-shot you, most of them can two-shot you. But with your speed, you can do active spotting and rely on the speed, which won't get you spotted, but you're relying on your speed and manoeuvrability to get away with it. Or you can zoom up to some forward bush and passive spot quite happily if you remember to get some equipment in. What else have we got to see? Oh, that's the stats. Got camo, is not very good, you're very tall. But as I said, you use your speed and manoeuvrability, get in positions where you can hide yourself behind a bush. Equipment wise, binocular telescopes or coated optics are an absolute must because that gives you something to do when you're bottom tier. Enhanced gun laying drive, well, not really so much. The gun's pretty accurate and to start with, and it aims quite quickly. So I went for gun rammer. Medium spool liner, yeah, RT does like you quite a bit if there's no one slower to shoot at. But no, not really. Your armor's poor, you're not going to do much ramming, even though you've got speed for it. So no camouflage in there. If you want to snipe, if you haven't got the track upgrades or the engine upgrades, so you're really slow, then but you do have the gun, then sniping is a good option. So put camouflage net in it for that. And I went for improve the vents. Improve my handling, improve my snapshotting, and improve my view range. So that's it for the stats. Overall, it's a very good medium. It's a very good medium to learn to drive mediums on, because it doesn't have the tough turret and low hull, weak hull that later mediums do. But it does have a good gun and good manoeuvrability, so you can learn to flex. Drive from one. Don't be afraid of driving from one side of the battlefield to the other because you see an opportunity, because you've got the speed to do it. And if it means you stay alive and make a difference, then do it. Even though you might be abandoning some of your teammates to their fate. I tend to try and be a second line tank until you spot an opening, and then you break through and then you rampage around the enemy's rear. That's my favourite. That's my advice for using this tank. And until then you can snipe in the second line. Or if no one else is spotting, then you go spotting. So overall, this tank gets the Dangerously Incompetent thumbs up. Well worth having, and well worth playing until you're training your crews in it. If you don't have a higher tier tank that you enjoy, or a premium tank to train your crews in. Very good. Good win rate on it. Heartily recommended.